Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Tuesday. It's November 13th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And for the most part, this is a range day. We've got a trend down. Notice we had a trend up early, then a trend down, then another trend up with a little failed break higher, another trend back down. This one's a little steeper here, and now we're headed back up. So this is a range day, but the range is large enough where you got some nice trends going. And then earlier it looked like we had a range up here, and then we spent a lot of time in the upper side, and then we spent a lot of time on the lower side of the range as well. So you can trade it both ways, although you're generally going to be better off staying with the trend, the shorter term trend at the time. And you can see that more of these shorts coming down, a few longs going up. You didn't get a lot of chance to trade this one, um, but then when you had all your shorts again coming down. Let me back out here. And as usual with this kind of volatility, there's probably some other trades you could argue for in here. So if I didn't mark it and you're just curious about it, feel free to send me an email or whatever. But there's other trades in here. I just marked the ones that are at the key entry points that are fairly obvious and that are fairly decent setups or that kind of thing. So again, you could probably argue for some more in here if you really wanted to be aggressive or take some different type trades. So anyway, let's talk about the trades and we'll move on here. But you can see how we're really going sideways here. Although we're still working down, you couldn't ignore this trend line. We're still going sideways. The first trade I saw was right here, right just after 7 o'clock. Notice there's a new high, first entry. Second entry long, it goes higher, fails, and goes right out the other side. I like going short there. And it takes off. And I mean, this looks like a range. And so we were probably headed to the lower side. That's what you had to assume there. And there we go. It's following this trend line. It confirms that trend line. There's another pullback to it here. Bar's too bullish. And then finally, you get one more pullback to it here. It's just a first entry, but a nice bearish bar, the first break, and we're not quite down to the lows. So I like going short. Actually, you would have had this a little lower at that point too, but I moved it up to the midpoint once we had a clear upper and lower, our clear upper and lower areas. And you can tell that's really kind of the midpoint here all the way across. But then, of course, you get a little failed break lower. This would have been down here, like I said. And you get a little failed break lower, way away from the EMA, a nice little small bullish bar. And so I marked that one as aggressive. But then you get a failed second entry, or I'm sorry, you get a first entry short or a higher low on a second entry here, but it's right into the EMA, right in the midline. But when we push on through and pull back and fail and get that failed second entry short and a bullish bar, I like going long right there. And you're just looking for it to go back to the highs. Unfortunately, it doesn't do that. It kind of corrects here. And again, this is a possibility for a long. It looked like we were going shorter and it comes up, but it's right back into the EMA. There's some different reasons. It didn't actually break lower there again if it had, and then it kind of gaps over there, so you probably wouldn't have had a chance to get in that one. But it comes back up here and it turns down right off the key entry point, gives you a big bearish bar, and we failed out this side, then this side of this little trading range. I like going short there. You get a higher low here, but it's kind of right into those lows. But when it tries to come higher again, turns down off a key entry point there. And I don't have it on this side, but if you'd have drawn it off this side and pulled it up, it would have fit perfectly there. And failed second entry long. You're not back down to the lows again yet. You got to be a little concerned about this this support here, but you got to figure this is probably where we're heading. And the new low is a little further down at that point as well. So there's another little pullback here, too neutral of a bar, another one here. You're just getting too far away from the EMA. It's getting too risky because you see what happens. Suddenly you rock it back up, and that's what will happen to you if you start trying to pick get in way down here. You need a little correction at some point. It actually runs up. You get a first entry short, goes higher. You get a failed second entry short right off that trend line. Bullish bar. We're not back up here yet, so you may risk that one. I think you're better off to wait for a short. But it would have been a nice little quick scalp. And then what does it do? It turns down right off this key entry point again. And you're way away from the EMA. I'm going to take that one. You actually get a little higher low here. Notice how this low, it didn't break higher, but this low is higher than that one. So you could consider that a lower high and maybe take that one. Looking for it to come back on down. And the bottom actually drops out of this one. Of course, you don't know it's going to do that, but you figure this trend line's been holding all day. You got to take that. It should at least come back down here to the midline and maybe all the way down, which it does. It comes all the way down, and it did it really quickly, much quicker than I would have expected. But needless to say, the bottom falls out. Then it comes back, and you get another bearish bar. Notice how it pushes through the EMA or the midline, pulls back, tries to test it, gives you another bearish bar. Another chance to get short. Just looking for it to run on down to this end. We actually overshoot it down here and bounce. You don't set your trend line till here, and you don't confirm it till you really didn't even confirm it here. This one was just kind of hard to decide here. You have to figure we're probably coming back, and we did get what looks like an overshoot. So you could have looked for a chance. This would have been a failed second entry short, but it's back below the EMA. Then you get a little higher low, fairly bearish bar. Then you get another one here. This is actually a failed second entry short, but we just came off that trend line again. And so when we made this lower high, I was really looking to go short here. And you have enough to get out, but then it bounces and it takes off. And notice the double bottom. You get a first entry short, you push up, you get a second entry short, it fails. So when prices broke higher there, I'd be looking to go long. And normally I'd say you wouldn't want to go long there, but the overshoot here and the trap right there, we may be headed back up here. Because notice how we got a measured move. And I would have, once we started heading lower, that was another reason. Measure this first part of it right here, which you may not have had it right there. You might have had it a little lower. And I'll show you what happens here. Probably would have had it a little lower. Then you move it down, and that gets you much closer to this actual low right here. So if you measure it where I originally had it, you can see we came up a little short. So, but anyway, it bounces. We're to here. We're moving higher. We finally get a break here, and you go short once. You get a double bottom. That's the ways I counted this one. You get a double bottom, first entry, second entry, and it bounces off the EMA in the midline again. I like going long there because we haven't reached this high yet, and we haven't reached the upper side here in equal distance. Notice we went just about a perfect equal distance, and then it turns down. That was a nice little move up right there. And of course we turn down, and it's a failed break higher, and notice we're working down, and you get a first entry, then a second entry. Let me make it a little bigger. So you could have considered going short right there. That's one of those that you could mark. You could argue for that one. And because it is back inside the trading range as well. But we're kind of going sideways there, and it does push through and pull back, and so you're below the EMA. It is off that key entry point. You get another break, bar's too bullish, and then you get another one. And you could really look at this one as a failed second entry long, but that's the first break of this big channel, so I don't want to be going short way down here. Here you might, because you still have plenty of room. Here you might get trapped on the other side, and if you try to go short there, that's exactly what would have happened. because we may try for a retest of that high. And you see we tried a couple of times before it failed, and you got a little range up here. You can see the support down here, and so you got plenty of room. Tested it once, twice, 3 times, so that's a double test rule. Big bearish bar, just go short, and it actually pushes on down. We come back, because here we never really got back to the possible trend line. We finally come back to it. This is all just kind of going sideways, and you finally make a lower high right here. You push through, pull back, and it actually goes higher and turns down. That's where I would consider getting in, because here you don't have a very good signal bar. And a failed second entry long right here, pushes through the EMA or midline, pulls back, actually breaks higher and turns down. I like going short there, just looking for it to go an equal distance. You notice how it gapped over the midline right there. Whenever you see those gaps like that, that's generally a good sign. When we drop down, we bounce off the bottom, and we just start going sideways. There is a failed break higher here right at the EMA. That's another one I'm not crazy about, because we just came off the low side, but we may turn down off the EMA. So it's another one you could argue for. Turns out to be a pretty nice trade. And what does it do? And then you actually get another. You make a little bit lower low right here than right here by a tick. So you can't really count that as a second entry. So I don't think I'd take that one. And then of course it bounces, and I wouldn't be looking for a long, as bearish as that's been. We finally make a new high back up here right at the key entry point. You could argue for that one, but it's a little bit neutral. I'd wait on a lower high or reversal pattern. We'll make that one green. Then you get a lower high right here, but look how neutral that is. But then it tries to go higher again, and it goes higher, turns and goes out the other side. You got a lot of room before that midline and before the EMA. So I like going short right there. Comes back, and then you're just working down. But again, you're too far away from getting too far away from your EMA. This one would have been tempting with a double top, but it's too bullish. And now you're getting too far away, and you're back down here again. And I didn't mark anything else this afternoon. There's a failed second entry short and reversal type pattern, but it's right into the EMA. And then, of course, it turns back down again, and that gets you into the 2 o'clock hour. Again, there's another reversal right here. That's a possibility. Notice the new low, first entry, second entry. So when it failed, you would have gotten just enough really to get out there, being that late in the day, and then it comes down, makes a new low, and then goes back up again. So it just had gotten really bearish down here. So I was a little leery of any longs, and I don't see any really good sales. Actually, notice that you get a break here and a new high, so that's a possibility, but I'd probably wait on a lower high. And if you'd waited on that lower high and taken that right at 2 o'clock, you'd have got stopped out only to see it go exactly where you thought it was going to go. So I just don't see anything really over in this area that I like so much, other than that one possibility. So that was it for today, and quite a few trades. It was relatively straightforward early on. Most of this was all straightforward. Just stay with the shorts really. And this is when it kind of got iffy down in here. So those were the ones that, that's why you don't see a lot of trades marked there. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up for today. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.